welcome back to another video of mine, you absolute beautiful people. Now, in this video, I want to talk about something that I've been noticing a lot. And this piggybacks off of a point that I made in my recent Robby video, where I basically said, you know, my whole thing with raising awareness to Robby's arc was never intended to cause an opposite effect to now where Robby is loved and Miguel is now hated. And I've been seeing this right across the board. And I'm going to use this analogy once again. I think people are looking at the show rather than watching it. They're not looking at the screen and seeing what's being presented to them, or the little details, and I know it's become something of a meme here on the channel, but the phrase context and nuance is genuinely important. And I think all of that just goes over people's heads. It's the little details, the little things that connect A to B to C to D, all the little bits of connective tissue that make up a character arc. And the example I will give is Robby coming home. Everyone was like, oh my god, I'm surprised. I never would have expected that. Well, I wasn't surprised because it's been in the show since the beginning, but you have to understand characters to actually see that coming a mile off. And I've been noticing this across the board, that people are getting a bit personal. So this isn't one of my usual videos where I break down a specific character arc or anything. It's just my general thoughts around Miguel's arc and the way people are kind of taking to social media to, you know, for all intents and purposes, and I say this in context, say these harsh, nasty things against the actor Sholo, and then, you know, completely misread what the story is trying to convey. Now, is it down to plot that Eli and Robby ended up in the final? Yeah, it is. But you could put it down to plot that Robby and Miguel ended up in the final in Season 1. They had Hawk, you know, be the aggressor in the situation and get himself disqualified. So, plot can be applied at any point in this show. That's not a valid argument for me, unless you're using it to objectively quantify why something is happening. But Miguel is the lost hero this season, and the reason he's the lost hero is because of the arc that has now been set up for him. And what'll happen is the same thing again next season, where everyone will say, oh my god, Miguel had an amazing arc, this came out of nowhere. No, it didn't come out of nowhere, it's been set up. And I think people have become so accustomed to, i.e. the sequel trilogy of Star Wars, for instance, where it was just one movie to the next and there was no real plan. The creators of this show have a plan in mind. They have several routes and avenues that they can explore. And that is only made possible by having a roadmap. They know where they're going, and even if they change stuff on the way, you know, because I know someone will say, hey, they change things on the way. Yes, that's part of the creative process, but my point is, they have an end goal, they have an end game, they know what they're building towards. And I'm telling you this now, Miguel is going to have an absolutely amazing arc next season. And the reason he will is because this season has now laid the foundation. It's now laid the groundwork for such a thing to happen. And the reason Miguel had to be the character where we go, oh wow, what about Miguel? What's Miguel's arc this season? You know, and when I say this, it's not like Miguel didn't have an arc. He did. His arc was coming to terms with embracing the Miyagi-Do legacy. You know, the understanding that you can balance both styles. And I think we're just really seeing the beginning of his Miyagi-Do journey, if anything. And that he's the balance of both, you know. And him trying to impress Daniel, you know, trying to say, hey, look, you know, I'm good enough to date your daughter. And that great conversation that they had in the car room about Daniel saying, you know, hey, I didn't even go to college. Which is also, you know, it's also a great lesson for life that you don't always necessarily need, like, that, like, college or university or whatever to fulfill your dreams. You know, your story is still being written and you're constantly in flux. And then Daniel even says to Miguel in the car, just because I didn't have a father, Mr. Miyagi showed me that there was someone who couldn't, you know, someone who could fill that role. And when Johnny and Robby both go after Miguel next season and they want to bring him home, when Johnny and Miguel reunite, Miguel's story is going to quite simply be that it's not about his bloodline. It doesn't matter who his father is because his real father is coming to get him. And what'll happen is when they reunite, everyone will be bawling and crying and emotional, and that's good. That's what the show's intended to do. But everyone will say it's come out of nowhere. No, it hasn't come out of nowhere. It's been there since day one. It's there. And the thing is, when I do these videos, I appreciate all the comments and stuff I get, but Cobra Kai is not that deep of a show. It's not like it's Breaking Bad levels or Sopranos levels of storytelling. It's quite a basic formula. And that's not me ragging on it. That's me complimenting it, because it's simple, and that's why we like it. It's not so hard to lose track of. It's very simple that we can tune in to each episode and not get lost, and we can still be engrossed in the story and the characters. But this is something I also want to touch upon, is the rise of theories that are absolutely outlandish and stupid, where every character's got to be related to one another. There's characters that are going to be pulling guns on one another. Like, all these weird theories that are literally coming out of nowhere, that feel like they're from The Onion. Like, I listen to some of them and I'm like, is this a joke? Like, is this serious? Is this for real? Like, what? You know, and I'm not going to give an example, but there are a lot of examples floating around out there where it's just literally a bunch of randomness that makes no sense whatsoever, that is not backed by anything in the show, you know. And take the Hawk is a spy theory, a theory that was absolutely downright stupid, and I debunked that within days, because I was like, that is ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. Why, in the middle of a house fight, would Hawk have inner conflict, redeem, save his best friend, throw the enemy into a table that could damn near cripple them, but oh, he's a spy? That's stupid. Now, if you were to say, okay, Tory could be a spy this season, that makes sense. That makes sense that she could be an inside, well, not a spy, but an inside man kind of thing, where Kreese is like, okay, keep an eye on Silver and keep me posted. But that's because the story will have earned such a thing. At the time, that was not earned at all, and that's an example of where all these wacky theories are coming from, that as fun as it is to theorize, one big thing that I stress is, as much as I've been wrong sometimes on my own theories before, that's, you know, it's not about being right, it's about having fun. But one thing that is important is we do it based on stuff that we can quantify or measure, and not do it on stuff that is completely outlandish. I've been asked ad nauseum, Miguel was going to stay in Mexico. I think so. No, that's stupid. Why in the hell would Miguel stay in Mexico when he's the new age Karate Kid, right? He is the show's central protagonist of the kids, and his arc has been left unfinished. What purpose does that serve? What purpose does that honestly serve? And this is more of turning into a rant video now, because I feel like I've done enough videos talking about the detail of Miguel's character, hoping that, you know, it wouldn't go over people's heads. But what's now happening is this transition of hate. In season 1 and 2, it was, you know, Robby this, Tory that, Robby this, Tory that. And now around season 4, it's flipped to where it's Miguel this, Sam that, Miguel this, Sam that. Like, it's I mean, mind you, the Sam hate's been pretty strong since season 1. I mean, and I understand it, but guys, it's a fictional show, come on. You know, it's just, it's at a point now, and this is an off-the-dome kind of video, where I'm just letting these thoughts pretty much go out there into the ether, because this is exactly why I've taken a break from doing videos, because it's just gotten to a point where it's like, how many times can I say it for people to not listen? Like, it's, people are watching this show by looking at it. They're not watching it, they're looking at it, and then they're replying. It's like you sending a text to someone and then replying to you just because they sent a message to you, but they haven't read what you've said, or you haven't read what they've said. It's like if they go and talk about apples and oranges and you want to go and bring up giraffes. Like, what on earth? Why? But just to link it back into the subject matter just a little bit. This is like going back onto character arcs. Miguel's arc next season is going to be insane. It's going to be amazing. And when he finally reunites with Johnny, it's going to be a moment that is earned. And it's going to be a moment where we're like, finally, he's home. It doesn't matter who his father is by blood, because his real father is coming to get him. And at the end of the day, Miguel Lawrence is coming home. And there's even more to his character, that I relate it to that scene, and shout out to my pals, I forgot who said this analogy as well. If any of you have seen Are We There Yet? There's a fantastic scene where Ice Cube's character takes the kids that he's looking after to their dad for Christmas. Now, the dad said that he couldn't make it or whatever, and he gave them a load of lies, but it turns out when they got there that the dad was celebrating with his new family. And that was heartbreaking for the kids to see. It could play out like that Miguel finds his father, and his father's got a family and everything else, and he doesn't want anything the hell to do with Miguel. And I've said it before, Season 3 physically broke Miguel, and no, Season 2's finale physically broke him, but Season 3 physically tested him, Season 4 emotionally tested him, and Season 5 is going to spiritually test him. It's going to test how strong his spirit is, and he's in Miyagi-Do now. Come on, like, what better time to embrace his inner spirit than being in Miyagi-Do? And I don't want to get too philosophical, but that's the teachings of Miyagi-Do. That's the way. And I do apologize that this video's gone on really long, but this is just a combination of things that I've been seeing quite a lot. And it just gets to a point where it's like, are people actually watching this show, or are they just looking at it? Do they have it on their TV and read their phone? Like, it's almost like, when I point out stuff, again, I'll use the biggest example. Hawk's true redemption begins now. You know, I did throw out the possibility that it is possible Hawk could win it as Eli. And while it's amazing, and I didn't think they'd do it, I always had a sneaky idea that they could pull it off. And everyone was like, oh my god, that came out of nowhere. And, well, yeah, but it was teased, it was alluded to, you know, it has been alluded to many times. Again, they still could have not gone through with it, but my point is, there's so many instances in this show where things that have happened have been set up in the past. And that's what I like to do my theories based on, is stuff that is backed up by previous information. And more often than not, they say that this show is very much heavily inspired by the trilogy. So you want the answers for where characters are going, look at the trilogy. Hell, I can already tell you one thing that's going to happen next season. Tory's mum is going to pass away, and the soundtrack that, you know, from when Miyagi's father passed away will play when Daniel's comforting Tory when she's in Miyagi-Do, or something like that, or when she's talking to the LaRussos, or when she's talking to Johnny, or whoever. You know, it's stuff like that. And I really think this Miguel hate has gotten to a point now where it's just like, it's ridiculous. It's come out of nowhere. Just because a character doesn't do X, Y, and Z in a season does not mean that that character is bad. It means that there is a purpose they serve that is greater than the plot. Now, if it was the Disney sequel trilogy, then I would say something different, because they were stringing it as they went along, movie to movie. But the creators have given us no reason to not trust them and what they're doing with these characters, and they know where they're taking them. So this random hate of fictional characters, it needs to be dialed down and dialed back. And just remember, this is meant to be fun. It's not meant to be taken personally and literally. If you're one of these pieces of shit that goes around harassing the actresses or the actors and making all these little congregated incel groups to hate them, what kind of special, I was close to saying something. What kind of special Muppet are you? Get a life. Like, it's ridiculous. And again, this video is an off the dome one, but this is just my whole thoughts and consensus about everything that's been going on in the Cobra Kai fandom lately. It's embarrassing. You know, it wouldn't be so bad if it was people of, like, young ages, but I'm seeing grown adults do all this. It's weird. It's really weird. You know, look, as great as it is to be a nerd, you know how, like, people on the outside world think of us lot? They think we're weird. And this is why. This is exactly why. And that's a good thing. Own the weirdness. Live it. Own it. Live it. Live it up. It's brilliant. It's good to be a nerd. But just remember that, you know, hey, it's not that serious. You know, it's a fictional show with fictional characters. And it's cool to get invested in stuff and all that kind of stuff. We all do. But I think remembering that it shouldn't become an obsession to the point where you start disregarding character arcs because of your own bias, or you start going and hating the actors and actresses who are just doing their job because, you know, you're a loser and you've got no life, and then coming up with weird stupid theories just for the sake of views. Like, if I wanted to do that, I'd do a video every single day talking about the same thing, and you could argue, hey, I've done videos talking about the same thing. True, but more often than not, I need to repeat myself because it feels like every video I do, it goes right over everyone's heads. And, you know, this video, again, it's gone into a complete off-the-dome rant, but I felt like this was necessary because this is one of them kind of things where it's just been festering. And I think, you know, character arcs aside, I think we need to treat each other better. You know, us as fans, we need to do better. But at the same time, we can't police fandoms, you know? And one thing that we all need to remember too is instead of just agreeing to disagree, how about you just disagree? But be cordial about it, you know? There's no mudslinging. There's no need to be a prick. You know, you have your opinion, someone else has their opinion, and that's that. But I'm seeing a lot of opinions that are just downright stupid at this point, and it's weird. It's very weird. But this was a bit of an off-the-dome video. This is stuff that's been festering for a little while. I've been asked this a lot in live streams or in comments, and I just thought I'd do a video addressing the reason, you know, people don't understand Miguel's arc, and, you know, the hate towards actors and actresses, and, you know, the rise of crazy theories that hold no weight. And the thing is, you know, just because you talk about something, it doesn't mean your opinion is better or worse than someone else. You know, that's important too. But guys and girls, jump in the comment section down below. Please try and keep it civil down there as much as one can. And I think, you know, with everything that's going on in the world at the minute, it is important to remember that, you know, it is just a fictional show, and there's much bigger fish to fry, you know, than what is going on on the Reddit forums and Discord servers. You know, there's much more fish to fry than this. And, you know, if people put that same negative energy into themselves and focused it in a positive way, the growth and the excelling that one would have would be amazing, you know? And as I've said before, I believe there is a good part for all of us. I believe we're on this earth for a reason, and I believe that we can all be better, myself included. But this is just an overall consensus on my thoughts on this situation, and I just thought I'd do a video getting this out of the way and talking about it. But guys and girls, I'll see you in the comment section down below, and yeah, you know, just be excellent to each other, you know? And besides, Miguel is going to have an amazing arc next season. That's our boy right there. El Serpiente.